This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Words never come out, leaving you in doubt. I'm trying your feelings, believe me. We got the habit of making it tragic. We're fighting and denying, cause we don't see. There's a lot in what you're born of you. If you will hear me, don't you know this is the truth. If you could feel my love, you'd never let go. How far you get close when you don't pick up your phone. I want you so bad, don't you forget it. Even when you're not
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, so true, so true. I don't know about you, but I have always said that it does not matter who the host is. Anyways, how are you? How are you doing on this lovely Monday? No, seriously, how are you doing? Today is Monday, June the 19th of 2023, day 170th of the year, and only 195 days left to go. So how was your weekend? No, seriously, how was it? Did you have all kinds of fun? Did you do all kinds of interesting things? I'm just wondering. I'm always kind of curious on how some of those things go. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
We are radio. We are sarcasm. We are both combined. Radio Big.
So let me ask, did you make it? Did you make it to the movies? Did you go see The Flasher? I'm just asking. I'm asking the question because listen, I kind of feel here that it turns out like almost all things Justice League, where it starts off normally relatively good, and then you're just kind of sitting there waiting for it to be over. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of mixed. It's kind of a mix, but it just seems that that's how those things come across. Listen, nostalgia always kind of plays a factor into some of those items there. But hey, if you want a popcorn movie, that's definitely it. But you might have a good 30 to 45 minutes of sleep as well. But that's of course an opinion of this guy. Anyway, so if you're not familiar with what the hell we do here, don't feel bad because I normally am not familiar with what we do here most of the time as well. We kind of hang out and we talk about safety. We talk about the news. We talk about the news and safety and a combination of some other stuff as the world does go around. So don't worry about that. So as that is going forward and moving on and all that kind of fun stuff, we bring in some professional broadcasters that claim that they know what the hell they're doing. Now, they're actually the pros around here. I just kind of hang out and get to leech, I guess, to some extent on what they're doing. So it's always kind of a fun time on taking a look around and going from there. Outside of that, you can interact with our show. It's a simple process. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. They'll get everything moving and grooving for you. It's a simple process. Call in radio. It's such a lovely thing in regards of doing that. The other portion is we're available on different apps. Radio Big app, Safety FM app, iHeartRadio app. Yeah. And when I talk about iHeartRadio app and when I talk about the TuneIn app, we're streaming 24/7, not like the podcasts that you see out there that are just there for the podcast aspect. We are in the streamer-eamer. Just letting you know that it is streaming 24/7 as we are doing the thingo. So keep that in mind as we are talking. So let's see. Safety news. So maybe we should just start talking right away about what the hell was trending over the weekend, because I think people are going to want to know. Right? I mean, I assume. Did I just make an assumption? Great.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about what's on tap and what was trending over the weekend. A big infrastructure project is underway as the Arstic and the Bud Light really want to get back the message. So we'll talk about that as we get into the shit list. A favorite 80s rom-com almost had a very different leading man. We'll talk about that for some reason in the Oscar stuff. Netflix is betting big on a major action movie franchise. We'll talk about that in the casting call. We'll talk about some things that are going on in regards of some of the stuff in infrastructure. So don't worry about that. Or, it gets kind of strange sometimes as we do the lingo of the bingo and all that kind of fun stuff. So I think that kind of sets us up on what the hell we'll be doing today. Don't worry about that, because there's always a setup. What? Not that kind of a setup, but there's always a convo on what the hell we're doing, because if we weren't talking about it, then how the hell would we know what to do? No, seriously, just think about that for a brief moment, and you'll get there with me one way, shape, or another. Anyways, I have some Trey Thomas sitting in the wings, because you are aware that today is Juneteenth. So let's make sure that we understand that some people are on holiday. We came in today because we wanted to make sure that we hung out with you and it did some stuff. So with that being said, let's get into the news right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Trey Thomas. President Biden is on the move this week. A White House official says Biden will highlight climate commitments made by his administration as part of a 3-day trip to Northern California. The president is set to visit Palo Alto on Monday, when he'll likely announce new federal funding for climate resilience projects. More severe weather is hitting parts of the U.S. to begin the week. Storms that devastated areas in Texas and Oklahoma late last week moved into the lower Mississippi Valley and the central Gulf Coast states on Sunday. They left hundreds of thousands of customers without power in the South. More than 200,000 people in Oklahoma were in the dark after the severe weather left tornado-level damage. Meantime, excessive heat warnings are in place for Monday in Louisiana and Texas, where it could feel as hot as 120 degrees. Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley's husband is deploying to Eastern Africa with the South Carolina Army National Guard. On Saturday, the former South Carolina governor and ambassador to the United Nations called it difficult, yet a moment of pride. Michael Haley will likely remain deployed through the spring of 2024, which will coincide with the GOP primary calendar for the next election. The sentencing phase in the Tree of Life synagogue shooting trial in Pittsburgh begins 1 week from Monday. The jury handed down guilty verdicts on all 63 charges on Friday. The defendant was convicted of murder and other charges in the shooting deaths of 11 victims at Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh in October 2018. You're listening to NBC News Radio.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Anthony Blinken's had what Washington calls very direct and very candid talks in Beijing with China's foreign minister. Swiss voters have backed new climate legislation designed to reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Nearly 100 people have died in a heatwave in 2 of India's most populous states, and UK MPs debate a report on Monday which condemned Boris Johnson for misleading Parliament over Partygate.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
Republican presidential candidate Tim Scott is not commenting if he would give a pardon to former President Trump.
Well, I'm not going to deal with the hypotheticals, but I will say that every American is innocent until proven guilty.
Speaking on Fox News Sunday, the South Carolina senator said if he was elected president, he would clean out the Justice Department, accusing the DOJ of hunting Republicans and protecting Democrats. Scott also called himself the most conservative candidate in the race. The Supreme Court won't issue rulings on two major issues until this Thursday at the earliest. Scott Carr has more.
Decisions on cases involving affirmative action and President Biden's student loan debt relief plan were not included in Friday's release of opinions. Two cases involving Harvard and the University of North Carolina will determine if race can be used as a factor in college admissions. Meanwhile, there are two cases that have yet to have opinions issued on them centered on the president's plan to cancel some student loans. There are still 18 opinions to be released from the High Court in its current term. I'm Scott Carr.
Legendary music producer Quincy Jones is expected to be okay after being rushed to the hospital Saturday for a medical emergency. TMZ reports the 90-year-old had a bad reaction to food he was eating and called for an ambulance. The producer was released from the hospital and is reportedly in great spirits. Jones has won 28 Grammys. Netflix is giving fans a sneak peek at the upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender series. On Saturday, Netflix debuted the first teaser trailer for the show and images of the main characters. Avatar: The Last Airbender is set in a world divided into 4 nations corresponding to different elements. The trailer features symbols for the Water Tribe, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads before showing a premiere date of 2024. You're listening to NBC News Radio.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Radio. This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, yes, magical, all right, I may say. Anyway, 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely, yes, it's a very lovely Monday, I might say. Very quiet around here inside of this joint. I'm just throwing that out there just for information purposes, just so you know. Anyway, so let's talk real quick because there's some things that we need to discuss. The world's two wealthiest men were spotted having lunch on Friday. Elon Musk from Tesla met with Bernard Arnault from the luxury company LVMH in Paris for a meal at the Hotel Cheval, which Arnault owns, just in case. The two Arnault sons and Musk and mother were all there along the meeting. No word on what the power pair discussed. Worth noting, though, the men have traded spots atop the Forbes Billionaire Index in the recent months as the valuation of their companies have fluctuated with the ebbs and flows of the markets and the stock values, just so you know. If that's important to you, now you know what I know, which is not much, so there you go. Who knew that swim bladers could be so lucrative? Worth noting, a fish swim bladers controls the biopsy of the underwater. Custom officials say that confiscated 242 pounds of these swim bladers harvested from a tabuta fish, the endangered species that was found in the Gulf of California off of Mexico's west coast. The organs were hidden among a commercial shipment of frozen fish fillet. Their market value could be, are you ready for this? $2.7 million. Yes, $2.7 million is according to CNN. So there you go. Some information for you right there. Construction is about to begin on a $600 million deep sea port in Nome, Alaska, to create a first Arctic port capable of facilitating large vessels. The facility will be a boom for tourism in its own for just $3,500, and also help shore up Arctic military defenses as Russian and Chinese forces increase their presence near the North Pole. The whole operation is expected to be up and running by 2030. So what do you think? What do you think? Are you excited? Would you be going to Alaska for this? I mean, it's just a question. I don't know. Do you like the cold weather? I mean, it's just a question. Anyways, Bud Light CEO really wants to move past the recent controversies that tanked Anheuser-Busch stock prices. In a statement released on Friday, he said that the company will provide financial assistance to wholesalers who have lost out amid suddenly decreased demand for their swill. He also previewed a major pivot. Our summer advertising launches next week, and you can look forward to Bud Light reinforcing that you're always loved about our brand, and that's that it's easy to drink and easy to enjoy. This is according to Fox Business. So there you go. An 11-year-old girl in Mississippi has miraculously evaded tragedy when a strong wind caused a large tree to crash through the roof of her house, right into her bedroom. The girl's father said that the downed tree nearly snapped the house in half, taking the rafter with it. I don't know how it didn't hit her head, he said, but fortunately the girl only suffered suffered minor scratches, not major scratches, because that would have been something entirely different, as I'm saying that is for sure. So there you go. There you go. There you go. What else? What else? What else? What else do we have? What else do we have? Do we want to talk about the box office? No, seriously, should we talk about the box office? Might be a good time to talk about the box office. So let's talk about the box office. Let's do it this way. Going 10 to 1, 1 to 10, it goes something like this. Coming in at number 10 for the weekend box office was Asteroid City with $790,000. Never even heard of it. Fast 10, $2.02 million. Down from the number 6 spot to number 9. The Boogeyman, $3.8 million. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was at $5 million. The Blackening was $6 million at number 6. And number 5 was The Little Mermaid with $11.6 million. And number 4 was Transformers Rise of the Beast with $20 million. And number 3 was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, $27.8 million. And number 2 was Elemental, $29.5 million. And coming in at the number 1 spot, yes, numero uno, was The Flash with $55.1 million. Worth noting, Elemental at $29.5 million opening represents the worst opening ever for a Pixar movie. I really didn't know what it was about. I kept on thinking that it was a sequel to the Feelings movie that they had, but what the hell do I know about kids' movies? I'm just saying. So there you go. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we bring some John Smalls inside of our life and let him tell us about what the hell is going on inside of the world of the market.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, June 19th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. If the economy is weakening, somebody forgot to tell the cruise line industry. It appears that consumers can't get on a cruise ship fast enough. That's pushing shares of Carnival Corporation to a 52-week high. There may be some choppy seas in the short term, but there is a strong long-term outlook. Another recent theme is animal health care stocks. Pets have become big business and is a very investable opportunity. Of course, always do your due diligence. And if you're looking for a quick win heading into summer, the staff at MarketBeat.com offered up 3 large cap stocks that just got upgraded by analysts. The 3 are Adobe Incorporated, Ollie's Bargain Outlet Holdings Incorporated, and Molson Coors Beverage Company. You can find more links to these stories at MarketBeat.com. And you can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at MarketBeatMinute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information on what is going on, because that always helps. Anyways, the Dow lost about 108 points to close at 34,299 on Friday. The S&P lost about 16 points to close at 4,409, and the NASDAQ lost about 93 points to close at 13,689. West Texas Intermediate closed at $71 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $76 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.57 on Sunday, and Bitcoin climbed back up over the weekend, just trading around $26,500. There was more than 4,792 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Sunday, and more than 320 such cancellations. Tuesday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $300 million and a jackpot of $156 million cash payout, depending on how you want to play. Tonight's Powerball will be for $300 million cash payout. And let's see. It could be $196.8 million cash payout. So there you go. $380 million jackpot, $396 million cash payout. So there you go. There you go. You want to hear some weird news real quick? Michael Cera says that he and Aubrey Plaza almost got married in Vegas 15 years ago just so that they could get divorced and call each other their exes. No, seriously. Cera tells Rolling Stone that he almost spontaneously took a detour and got married. I think the idea was then to get a divorce right away so they could call each other their ex-husband and ex-wife at like 20. Worth remembering, the actors worked together in 2010's flick Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and did end up actually dating for about 18 months. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not. I bought that movie many moons ago, of course, and I still think it's one of those pretty interesting movies concept-wise when you go back and look at it. And then, of course, you have Brie Larson in it, not knowing that she would eventually become the Marvel of the Captain. You know what I'm saying? Captain Marvel in there. So there you go. Interesting times as some of those things work out. Why did I go into that story? I have no idea. But guess what? It already happened. Anyways, recent storm knocked out powers for Mississippians, leaving them without air conditioning as the weather warms up. Rebecca Hughes has details how some organizations are helping.
Widespread power outages combined with the heat have prompted several municipalities and relief organizations to open buildings to serve as cooling centers across the state. The city of Jackson partnered with the American Red Cross and the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition to offer places where residents can go to stay cool, recharge their mobile devices, and pick up ice. For an updated list of locations, people are advised to contact the Red Cross or the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition. I'm Rebecca Hughes.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca Hughes, for the information. Now, you did hear that, right? They have cool-down locations and charging phone locations. You did realize that they just actually said that keeping cool is almost as important, or charging your phone is almost as important as keeping cool. Makes it interesting. I mean, think about it for a moment. Anyways, Fairfax County, Virginia, starting July 5th, with 2 Fairfax County highways will be renamed. Take a listen to this. No, seriously, take a listen to this.
Lee Highway will change to Route 29, and Lee Jackson Memorial Highway will become Route 50. The move comes after a task force voted in 2021 to strip the names of Confederate generals. Those in the area will need to update their address, but county-related records such as property tax and voter registration will switch over automatically. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Okay, so what do you think about this when you hear some kind of information like that? Remember a while ago there was all kinds of changes that were coming down the path with stuff like that, and people were up in arms. What's your general feeling about it now? No, seriously, what is the general feeling? Just asking the question. Anyways, a South Carolina college student attending the University of Virginia finds a clever way to avoid high rent during her summer internship in New Jersey. Take a listen.
A video posted on TikTok shows 21-year-old Sophia Celentano flying to and from her New Jersey internship each week because it's cheaper than paying rent. She says her employer requires interns to work in person 1 day a week. Celentano lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and for the summer pays about $100 for a round-trip flight to Newark. Rent in the Manhattan area is more than $3,400 a month. Celentano is majoring in media studies at UVA. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
So do you think that somebody's going to turn around and be like, well, you can't do that anymore because we need you here. You need to be here on call in regards of what's going on. I'm just asking the question. You know how some of these things go. Anyways, 2 people are reported dead and 3 are injured after a shooting at an electronic music festival in Washington State. Kyle Foreman is the public information officer with the Grant County Sheriff Department.
The shooter continued to shoot randomly into the crowd, and the suspect was eventually taken into custody.
The shooting happened Saturday night at a campground outside of Gorge Amphitheater, where Beyond Wonderland EDM Festival was underway and thousands were in attendance. So there you go. Some very interesting things as we are talking. That's for sure. New rules and laws this summer will make it easier for Iowans to get rid of raccoons. Take a listen to this. Vince Velsler, with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, says that outside the city limits, landowners do not need a license to shoot and trap a raccoon and do not have to notify the DNR.
We have seen raccoon populations grow fairly steadily over the last 20 to 30 years.
Raccoon population, you heard me, is it part of Raccoon City? If you know, you know. There's also new rules allowing for year-round hunting and trapping of raccoons on private land within the city limits. Local ordinance still apply. Vince also says that with the Iowa Department of the Natural Resources, says the raccoons population have grown steadily over the last 30 years.
And we can take a lot of steps to reduce conflicts and nuisance issues, such as putting baffles on bird feeder posts, coon baffles, or putting away our pet food at night, or an electric fence around our sweet corn patch.
So starting in July, it'll become easier for rural Iowans to get rid of the destructive raccoons.
In urban settings, they should be familiar with the city ordinances that affect them, and they should also get to know their city officials and find out if there is a wildlife control person, or if there is not one, they should contact a nuisance wildlife control operator.
I'm not saying that they do this in Iowa. I'm just saying in general. I just want to share this. There are certain places that people catch raccoons to eat them. I am just saying, don't shoot the messenger.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Let's stay in Iowa for a moment, but it won't be long before students on summer break start complaining that they're bored. Iowa State University psychology professor Doug Gentile, Gentile warns against allowing children too much screen time.
They're not necessarily building close friendships or relationships or learning all the skills about social interaction.
He says that boredom is good because it inspires creativity. He also recommends that parents impose screen time limits and use parental controls to monitor what their children are looking at online. He says the screen time also means less time learning on how to keep friends. Iowa State professor also recommends limiting the amount of screen time for children.
They're not exploring, they're not reading, they're not learning necessarily, especially if they're just watching entertainment.
Hold on. How the hell do you know what the heck somebody's doing on their screen? Like, how do you know if it's not that they're not actually trying to learn or read or whatever? Screen time means so many different things. I don't know. I have a lot of questions in regards of this report. No, seriously.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. The FBI and multiple state agencies are investigating after a dozen of letters containing a suspicious white powder were sent to Kansas state officials late last week. Take a listen to this.
More than 90 such letters have been reported across the state in recent days. ABC News reports that the substances tested so far aren't considered explosive nor a biohazard. Authorities say they are working to safely collect the letters and investigate the incidents. No injuries have been reported. I'm Chris Caraccio.
Okay, thanks, Chris, for the information right there. No doubt about it. A Juneteenth mural in Detroit has been finished by Farrell Kelsaw and his wife, LaShonda. He also selected to represent Detroit for the documentary funded by the Capital One featuring 6 artists from 6 cities during the mural.
After we started sketching, it was just amazing, the feedback, just to see how people respond to art.
Okay, the mural for the federal holiday commemorating the day the slaves in Texas learned of their freedom 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation has its first social justice mural. Artist Farrell Kelsaw is among the 6 artists chosen for the documentary and has completed his with his wife. So take a listen to this.
I knew the obligation, and I knew that it would be something that would be special, and I chose to have it right here on the Avenue of Fashion. So me being selected, it means the world to me.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on in that particular area. Anyways, with that being said, 32 minutes past the top of the hour. So let's do this. Let's go into that thing that we do around now that we deem and call our main story. No, seriously, let's do that.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Yep, main story. That thing that we do in the middle of this damn thing every time that we get a chance. And listen, I don't take it for granted that we get to sit around and talk about the things that we get to do. I don't take it for granted that we sit around and talk about the things that are important that are going on within organizations, or things that are important that are going on within the industry. But listen, I don't know what the hell is happening, but why is it that it looks like more and more things are happening on autopilot? And I'm not saying, listen, you can't have some things set up for them to work, but don't try to get me excited about doing some kind of event or going to some kind of event when you are going to have the repeat offenders, the repeat people over and over and over again. I know that there are things that happen throughout our industry, not sometimes, but all the time, in regards of events and for people to participate in. But I was talking to someone last week, and they were telling me about an event that was going on. And they said that it has been so similar year after year after year that people speak at the same time every year at the event. At the same time, meaning, okay, I have X person scheduled to speak at this time. They said that they could claim that from one year to the next, that they know exactly what time that person's going to speak because of the repetitiveness of how they do an event. Do some people need that kind of consistency? Well, maybe. I don't know. But what do you think? Would you pay to go to an event that's how it's laid out if you know almost exactly verbatim what's going to occur? I don't know. It gets kind of weird sometimes with how some of these things actually work out. And I look around and I go, some of the stuff that we do makes sense when it comes to that, but some of it doesn't make sense whatsoever. How do you get new people into what you're doing if you are not doing anything new? And that's where it seems we get hung up as an industry. It's how we get hung up inside of our organizations. Like, I remember working somewhere where every day you had a stand-up in the morning. And it was about 6:30 in the morning every day that this stand-up would occur. So you would sit there, you would talk about what the hell was going on inside of the organization. You mostly talked about numbers because, you know, if you don't talk about numbers, it's not like life is going on. And then you had a brief safety moment about what was going on inside of the world. And it was so autopilot-y, it wasn't even funny. Like, I could tell you the prediction of what is going on, of what's going to happen. People are going to be made fun of if their numbers are not what they're deemed up to par. It's that blame shame game of, look, you're not being consistent. And then you had the person that was talking about safety, about you're not being safe enough, which I still have a hard time understanding what does it mean to be safe enough. So, how do you look at this? When you see that there is a lot of repetitiveness within your organization, how do you, I'm not going to say master or change, but how do you make it better? How do you make things go, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me? I'm just still trying to figure it out. And we take this walk together in regards to what we're doing. But do you get excited to go to an event that is so predictable that you're able to go year over year and know exactly at what time someone's speaking? And apparently it's the same speakers year after year. And I just don't know. I just don't know on how you get people excited about what is going on. When it comes to something like that, I still continue to look around and go, what is the next big change that is going on within the industry? And I know there's some people around there that are taking stuff and repackaging everything that's out there and saying this is new. It's not new, it's repackaged. Or maybe that's just what I need to learn. That maybe what is old is new and what is new is old. Yeah, think about that for a moment as I say those things out loud. Tell me that won't drive you crazy.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobile.io. That's mobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So, do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now? That live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case. And you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
If you think local radio sucks, wait till you hear our free-form station, Radio Big.
All of the reasons have been our feelings. We don't go to the unknown in a bad dream. Under the pressure, can make it all better. Keep my eyes closed when it's the most like a war scene. There's a lot in what you're born of you. If you will hear me, don't you know this is the truth. If you could feel my love, you'd never let go. How do I get close when you don't pick up your phone? I want you so bad, won't you forget it? Even when you're mad and nothing's forgiven. If you could feel my love, you never let go.
Okay, there you go. 42 minutes past the top of the hour. You and I are hanging out on this lovely Monday. This is the Rated R Safety Show. First hour of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. And this right here was the Nix. If you could feel. No, seriously. That's who it is. So there you go. You can give it a little streamer emer action if you'd like. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Music. You know what I'm saying. You know, sometimes we just have to slow down the pace. It's kind of the way that it goes. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back into it. Thank you for allowing us to play this here. And damn it, we're going to get you a whole hour of Radio Big music. You know, we'll do that at some point here on the Rated R Safety Show. Meaning the stuff that we play during the Rated R Safety Show. Okay, so let's get back into it real quick because we need to. We need to talk about this because I really think that we need to. And that's about my friends at To Write Love's on Her Arms. No, To Write Love on Her Arms. Seriously, TWLOHA.com. From time to time, we all need help. One way, shape, or form. So if you go to TWLOHA.com and click on the far right-hand side where it says Find Help, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll see where it says no matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected with help. Understand first and foremost that you're not a burden. A lot of people don't understand that. When we go through these weird times in life, we don't know where to turn. This is the place to turn to. All kinds of information on their website, on where you can lean, turn, and even guide you to get you to certain places where you want to be. Seriously. TWLOHA.com. TWLOHA.com. Just to be able to help you out on what is going on. To Write Love on Our Arms, all kinds of resources readily available for you. All you have to do is just take a look-see right there on their website. So there you go. TWLOHA.com. Let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the world. Bad news for night owls. Staying up late can lead to habits which result in early death. Yep. After a number of studies over the years showing that those who stay up late into the night are more likely to suffer from health problems and die younger than early birds. Experts say that they believe that they have found the cause. Night owls tend to smoke more and drink more alcohol than those who rise and shine early. Swedish researchers with data from about 23,000 twins who participated in the study from 1981 to 2018 have analyzed the death records of 8,728 people. They determined that the chance of them dying is 9% higher for night owls than early birds. The researchers noticed that non-smoking night owls didn't have any higher risk or death, and alcohol-related deaths were obviously a contributing factor among people who stay out late. And, well, if you're not supposed to stay out late, why are the best infomercials on then? Moral of the story? It's much better to be a day drinker. I mean, how else would you look at that? I mean, think about it.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
What? Did you think that I was wrong in regards to what I said? Isn't that how that's not how that came across to you? It's just me? No, seriously. Think about that for a moment. So there you go. There you go. Take a listen to this. Yes, Friday was flip-flop day, so we're a bit late for that, but it's still something that we can think about that we should be aware of. A company in Brazil is selling what is called the world's first unchewable flip-flops. Yeah. Brisa, which is marketing the product as a collaboration with Pedigree, says the flip-flops are unchewable because they are made of the most bitter substance known to man, and buying a pair may save your dog's life. Dogs love chewing footwear, and it's well documented. And the company says that it puts them at risk of very serious gastrointestinal problems. The unchewable flip-flops are made with something called, deutonium benzoate, known as the most powerful bitter agent in the world. A single drop is enough to make an Olympic-sized pool of water taste unnoticeably bitter, yet safe for consumption. It is widely used for the pet industry to discourage animals from biting and licking things that they shouldn't. No, I'm being serious. And I mean, how bad could this stuff taste? Because my dog actually eats from the cat box. I mean, think about that for a moment. And now, if I get it when they said unchewable flip-flops could save the dog, I thought they meant because if Rover eats my footwear, I'd kill him. Okay, no, my bad. I totally misunderstood what the hell was supposed to be meant with that one. No, seriously, I'm being serious as I say it.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
I mean, I guess there's a market for everything, but I feel like I say that a lot. I really do. It just gets weird sometimes in regards of what is going on. Think about that for just one brief moment. Take a listen to this real quick. This is coming out, let's see, where is this coming out of? Washington, D.C. Former Attorney General Bill Barr says that former President Trump puts his followers in the GOP agenda at risk. Take a listen to what Terry Thomas has to say.
Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, Barr called Trump a consummate narcissist who always puts his own interest and ego ahead of everything, including the nation's interest.
He's also a fundamentally flawed person who engages in reckless conduct and that leads to situations, calamitous situations like this.
Barr added that Trump's conduct that's alleged in the federal indictment is not an isolated example. Barr served as Attorney General for 2 years under the George H.W. Bush administration and in the final year of the Trump administration before resigning. I'm Trey Thomas.
What do you think about that? Some interesting stuff definitely coming out of that as we are talking. Weekend storms included a possible tornado in Laverne, in northwest Oklahoma's Laverne resident Jerry Lindwell tells News 4 about the damage there.
Community's coming together real well. The damage is significant. I put it on, especially for the trees.
Damage included downed power lines, fallen fences, uprooted trees, and torn off roofs. Laverne Pastor Donnie Scott tells News 4 that he waited out the storm in a shelter.
At one point, our ears kind of popped, and we could feel the pressure change. Most of it was big trees. We saw trees that were uprooted totally, and trees that just had limbs out of them, and it saw all of that all over town.
So interesting times going on for sure in the Oklahoma area. Crews continue working to restore power for more than 200,000 Oklahomans that lost it in the weekend storm. In Oklahoma City, Sherry Crushwell tells News 4 about her neighborhood got slammed.
I heard a snap, and I didn't think anything of it at first, and then I looked out the window, the front window, and of course the whole tree, huge limb, blocked the whole entire street.
ONG spokesperson Aaron Cooper says the winds roared across the ONG service area with winds up to 80 miles per hour. Damage include down power lines, broken power poles, and homes. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking.
Very significant storm rolled through the entire state and much of our service area with damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour all across our service area.
So there you go. I kind of feel like we said the exact same thing, but there you go. Anyways, take a listen to this. An investigation continues after a deadly mass shooting near the southwest suburban in Willowbrook. Authorities say that a gunfire erupted early yesterday during Juneteenth weekend, gathering at a strip mall near Route 83 in Illinois. So take a listen to this real quick.
DuPage County Sheriff's deputies were in the area of Honeysuckle Rose Lane and Route 83 and heard numerous gunshots fired and responded to an area where a large gathering of people was happening.
One person was killed and at least 22 were wounded. No one is in custody as we are speaking. So what do you think about this? Makes it kind of an interesting one as things continue to go on. With that being said, let's see if we can change the course of things, and let's go ahead and bring in some John Smalls real quick and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Frank. Mike Tyson said, "Social media made y'all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it." I agree with Mr. Tyson. I've actually witnessed this firsthand. I know a guy who is one of the nicest and quietest people in person, but he's a total 180 online. He sent me a friend request a while back, and I accepted because I know the guy. Then I see some of the things that he says and he does, and it absolutely shocked me. I try to be a nice person both online and in real life. I commented on a post one time, and the comment was taken the wrong way. I felt awful about that. I cannot imagine doing that on purpose. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by alessamorgan.com. One of the biggest mistakes in conversations on wellness is talking about exercise instead of talking about movement. Up until the 1960s, the only people who exercised were athletes. Everyone else just carried on with activities of daily living, and these people were much leaner and healthier on average than today. Research confirms that sitting all day and then going for a vigorous 1-hour exercise session is not nearly as effective as just moving more. Because we are so used to sitting, it may be difficult to find more opportunities to move. Walking instead of driving whenever possible, gardening, cleaning the house, normalizing more physical effort throughout the day. Consistent movement will take you much further than occasional exercise. For more information, check out alessamorgan.com.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, yeah, something along those lines. At least that's what I tell people. Not sometimes, but all the time. So don't worry about that as we are hanging out on this lovely Monday. Now, it really is lovely. I mean, think about it for a moment. It can't get much lovelier than this, or can it? Anyways, let's talk about some whack facts real quick. The average disposable diaper can hold up to 7 pounds of liquid. Did you know that? Well, You'll probably find out as you get more mature in your later ages. Oh, sorry about that. It is impossible for most people to lick their own elbow. Do I need to give you a moment as you try that? Okay, you do that. The word bi-weekly has two meanings, twice a week and once every 2 weeks. Wearing headphones for an hour can increase the bacteria in your ears by 700 times. Seriously. So think about that. 700 times. Yummy. Craft produces enough Cool Whip each year to fill the Grand Canyon. And there's over 100 billion known galaxies. How many unknown galaxies are there? It's unknown. Think about that. See how the twist of words go? Some things to think about as we are talking. Anyways, with that being said, let's take a look around at some things that happened back on this date. If I take a look and let me see. Let's take a look at this because we're going to go into this a little bit later, so I know that we should probably talk about it. But back in 1978, the comic Garfield first appears. The lasagna-eating feline is named for illustrator Jim Davis's grandfather. By 2007, it became the most widely syndicated comic strip, appearing in 2,580 newspapers and journals. That happened back in 1978. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, I have some of those for you. Dylan Playfair turns 31. Giacomo Giannanti turns 34. Paul Dano turns 39. Macklemore turns 40. Zoe Zaldana turns 45. Hugh Dancy turns 48. Boris Johnson, 59. Paula Abdul, 61. Ann Wilson, 73. And Gina Rowlands, 93. That's some birthdays that are going on today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It's World Sickle Cell Day, National Take Your Cat to Work Day, International Box Day, World's Martini Day, World Sun Tanning Day, and it's also Juneteenth. Should I also mention another day that it is today? Let's talk about this one. If you hate Mondays and love lasagna, today's your day.
Today we celebrate the 45th birthday of Garfield the cat. The ginger feline was created by Jim Davis and named after his grandfather. He says no one cat is the inspiration for the nap-loving kitty who hates raisins, diets, and only tolerates Odie, his dog companion. He's worth $800 million and counting. Garfield the cat rakes in about $750 million to $1 billion every single year for basically napping. Maybe he's on to something. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Okay, so apparently he knew the secrets of what needed to be done way before any of us did. Now we know that he was up to something all along. So there you go. There's that. Anyways, if you need a phone starter for today, try this. What foods do you mix together that horrifies others? I have a friend that used to mix hot dog and ice creams, but that's a whole other story to talk about on a different day. Let's see. If you need a random joke for today, try this. Somebody actually complimented me on my driving yesterday. They left a little note and it said parking fine. If you need a water cooler, a question for the water cooler today, try this. 25% of us have kept these for sentimental reasons. What are they? A pair of shoes. So there you go. Anyways, before I forget, if you don't know, let's talk about it real quick. If I can get the right thing up here. This real quick. Nope, wrong thing. That is definitely the wrong thing. Right here. If you don't know about the Conklin Conference coming up on the end of September the 27th through the 29th, occurring in Orlando, Florida, here's some information about it. You'll have the opportunity to see Bob Edwards, Mark Yeston, Jen Long, and Todd Conklin. All you have to do is go to safetyfm.io to find out more information. That's safetyfm.io for some more information on what is going on. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, taking a listen to what the hell we had going on today, because it's always cool when we get to do some things together. There is no doubt about it. At the top of the hour, I'll be going over to Radio Big for the next couple of hours, so you're more than welcome to hang out with me if you're so inclined to do so. If not, you can stay on Safety FM and hang out with Sheldon Primus as he talks about the business of safety consulting. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. You will never plow through a field if you only turn it over in your mind. Think about that. That's some things to think about. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Denying 'cause we don't see. There's a lot in what you're born of you. If you will hear me now, just know this is the truth.